Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into SAP to figure out why a sales order that looks totally perfect can get completely stuck. We're going to uncover the hidden logic that makes orders move and the powerful gatekeepers that can stop the whole process cold.
So, let's start with a problem that I'm sure sounds familiar to anyone who's worked in SAP. You've got a sales order. It looks flawless. Every field is correct, the customer's good, the material exists, but it's just stuck. It will not show up for delivery. The reason, believe it or not, isn't some bug. It's actually a feature buried deep inside the system's logic.
Okay, so to find that answer, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we're going to understand what I call the order's brain. Then we'll take a peek inside the configuration control room. After that, we'll meet the system's gatekeepers, the things that block the process. And finally, I'm going to give you the expert troubleshooting checklist to solve these problems for good. Sound good? Let's dive in.
Right. First things first. The secret to an order that actually moves through the system isn't just about what you're selling. Nope. It's about a hidden plan for how you're going to execute that sale. And this plan, well, we're going to call it the system's logistics brain.
Now, in proper SAP terms, this brain is called the schedule line category. And honestly, it's everything. Without the right one, a sales order is just a piece of paper, a record of a promise. It can't be delivered, it won't reserve any inventory, and maybe worst of all, it's totally invisible to your planning team. And that, as you know, leads to stockouts and very unhappy customers. This slide really helps clarify where this brain fits into the whole picture. You've got the header, that's the who and where. Then you have the item level, that's the what. But the schedule line, that's the deepest, most detailed level, and it gives the final, absolutely crucial instruction, the how and the when. It's the system's execution plan.
Okay, so if the schedule line category is the brain, how does it get configured? Let's go inside the system's control room. That's transaction VOV6 for you pros out there, and let's look at the switches that control an order's entire logistical life.
Now, you don't need to memorize every single setting here, but you absolutely have to understand these key controls. Movement type is your link to the warehouse. Item relevant for delivery is basically the master on-off switch for shipping, but pay really close attention to that one, rec for assembly. Here's the key takeaway. If that box is unchecked, your sales order is a ghost. Your production and planning teams will literally never know it exists.
This table is a great little cheat sheet of the most common pre-configured plans. So have a look at CP for a standard order. See? It's got a movement type, 601 to issue goods from the warehouse, and it transfers requirements to planning. Now compare that to CN. No movement type, no requirements. The system is being explicitly told to do, nothing. That's a purely informational line item.
So how does the system automatically pick the right plan every single time? It's not magic, not at all. It uses this simple but incredibly powerful formula that's based on just two keys. Here's how it works. The system looks at the item category, which really defines how you're selling the item, and it combines it with the MRP type from the material master. And the MRP type, that dictates how you plan to get that item, whether you make it, buy it, whatever. This little formula is exactly why selling the very same material can lead to completely different logistics, all because of how the master data is set up. Okay, so that two-key formula, that determines the logistical plan. But what happens when that perfectly determined plan gets stopped dead in its tracks? Well, that's where we meet the gatekeepers, the really powerful blocking mechanisms inside SAP.
There are many ways to block an order, but there's one specific checkbox related to delivery blocks that has a massive and often totally misunderstood impact. Knowing what this little box does is what separates the real experts from the novices.
And here it is, this little thing. A simple checkbox in the delivery block configuration called Defer Requirements. It looks so innocent, doesn't it? But its effect is profound.
This slide shows you the huge difference this one little checkbox makes. On the left, with the box unchecked, it's just a simple shipping hold. Think of a credit check. Production can still see the demand, they can still build the product. But on the right, with the box checked, it not only blocks the delivery, it completely erases the requirement from the planning system. Now that is powerful. You'd use that for something serious, like a political embargo, where you don't even want to start making something you can never ship.
So these gatekeepers, they operate at different levels. You can block sales entirely, you can just stop the delivery, or maybe you only want to prevent invoicing. But you have to remember the golden rule you see here. The most restrictive block always wins. A block way up at the top on the sales document itself is going to override everything else down the line.
Okay, let's put it all together now. The next time an order is stuck, you are not going to panic. You're not going to just create a support ticket. Nope. You're going to pull out this expert checklist and you're going to solve it yourself.
So if you can't deliver something, just follow these 4 steps in this exact order. First, check the brain. Is the schedule line category even set up to allow delivery? Then check for blocks at the header, then on the specific schedule line itself, and finally, check for a credit hold. I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, your answer is right there in one of those 4 places.
And what if your planning team says the order is a ghost? This is your checklist. First, does the schedule line category itself even transfer requirements? You got to check that rec/assembly flag. If it does, then look for a delivery block. But here is the critical final step. Go one level deeper and check if that specific block is configured to defer requirements. That, my friends, is almost always where the ghost is hiding. The single most important thing to take away from all this is simple. Blocks are not just simple stop signs. Depending on how they're configured, they can fundamentally change an order's reality within the system. They can turn a confirmed sale into a ghost. And now you know exactly how to look for them.